Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? Today's Saturday, July 18th. And because all of you helped hit the thumbs up totals Monday through Friday for our daily financial news, this is me giving back. We've collected again two questions. Thank you for that. You really came through yesterday, just pounding me with questions. So I appreciate that. We will do our best to get through all of them. Again, this is a show I enjoy doing because it is 100% driven by the audience. I'm looking to help people, and it's always wonderful to get your questions because it allows me to see what's going on. But one thing I got to show is look at Olivia got me. She took our book cover and she put it on a coffee mug. How cool is that? And yes, I'm enjoying my coffee this morning. Isn't she a sweetheart? Anyways, so let's just get into it. We got a lot of questions, and we need to be done by about 8:55 when I need to get ready for my student phone call that starts at 9. So where do I want to start? Let's start with this one. So yesterday I put out a video, basically buyer beware, warning. The market that I see it is potentially the most risky. That video had over 900 views in 24 hours, which for lots of big time YouTubers, that's nothing. They get that in 5 minutes. But for me, 900 views in 24 hours is pretty awesome. One of the questions off that video I thought I should answer. I thought I addressed it in the video, but clearly not based on this question. And that is, why do you think the market is dangerous? And it's hard to understand what the underlying question is in that, but let me take a better shot at explaining what I see. And again, as always, realize that my lens for answering your questions is really single market based. I've been looking at my market for 20 years. I have had experience talking to others about other markets, but when I answer a question, always understand that I am answering it with a lens that is, single market focused, okay? So first and foremost, we have the most abnormal supply-demand imbalance. I have seen sellers markets before. But what we have today is not only a seller's market, which is not uncommon over 20 years, but we have a supply problem. I have never seen supply constrained at this level. And that is one of the many reasons that I think it is dangerous. Because when you have a seller's market into a constrained supply market, it is frankly really easy to overpay. Second is we are often competing with owner occupants. You hear me all the time talk about I'm competing with owner occupants. I'm competing with owner occupants. But what does that mean to you? Maybe I haven't been clear. Well, owner occupants can overpay. Their down payments are much less. And most importantly today, their interest rates are half what I can pay. So an owner occupant in my market can spend 10 grand more than me and end up with a lower mortgage payment. I can't afford and won't create alligator or negative cash flow properties. This market is so easy for new investors to go, oh my gosh, I've lost 5 properties in a row. Let me offer more. No, don't do that. Trust me, it'll feel good for a day, a month, maybe even a year. But eventually an alligator property is going to eat you. That's why I created that imagery. Next, we have shifting consumer behavior. So this is a first for me as well, right? Again, Fresno, California. I am seeing an influx already of Bay Area folks at least considering Fresno. Now, let's be clear. They're not being competition for us in the affordable housing. If you are a Silicon Valley person and you're looking to Fresno, California, you're looking for $1 million home. because in Fresno, you get $1 million home that's 4,000 square feet with a pool and all kinds of stuff, which will mean your payment is probably lower than your rent. But we have to appreciate the consumer, owner occupants are changing. And that is causing the underlying structural change in lots of markets. Some markets are fleeing, which means prices will come down. Some markets are increasing demand, which means prices will go up. It's just happening in real time and much, much faster than I expected. I'm getting constant, I don't know about constant, let's not over exaggerate, consistent communication from followers of this channel that they're like, yep, 3 of my neighbors left and 4 of them came here. And this exit from New York and San Francisco and SoCal is real, and it will have a structural change on many, many real estate markets. Some for the good meaning higher prices, some for the bad, meaning lower prices. And then again, the last point about why I think the market is dangerous, it is right on the cusp of feeling frothy. What do I mean by frothy? I watch and I talk to new investors all the time because I am trying to figure out where their focus is. Because when I see the masses coming, I try to get out of the way. We are not there yet. But I can envision a news cycle that has 4 to 6 quarters of just nothing but good information, higher prices, construction jobs, all of these things. And people go, ooh, I want some of that. Especially if we have a blip in the stock market, people are going to go, wow, real estate is where I need to be. There could be a time in 2021 where you see real estate as the best asset, right? If the stock market bounces and it's no longer a V, but it becomes a W, right? Where there's another down leg. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying if it happens, oh man, more and more money will chase real estate. So it feels dangerous. And I feel for new investors. That's why I'm telling you that I had 2 great interviews yesterday on Friday the 17th that if you haven't watched, you really need to. One was from a young lady who left Southern California and went to Memphis, took massive action, did her thing. She now runs an Instagram page called Brick by Brick Wealth. Check her out. But she learned her market and bought single family homes, and she knows what she's looking for. Then the second interview, which you need to watch if you feel stuck. If you feel stuck or you feel like you're chasing lots of rabbits, like rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. The other interview is interesting because I helped an investor hopefully get more focused. So watch those if you really want to understand what's going on. The first one about learning a market and taking action, and then the other one about narrowing your focus to actually make progress. I thought those 2 were particularly helpful, and I hope you enjoyed them. So that's that question. Next up, there was a question from a viewer challenging my no alligator, which I first read it and went, you don't get it. But then I step back and go, I understand his logic. Let's at least talk about it. So in my book and in lots of my videos, I have said, never buy an alligator property. And if you are looking at that, put more down, right? You can always fix a negative cash flow property, right? Even in Beverly Hills or Palo Alto or any other richy area, you can make a house positive cash flow. You just put more down. I'm not saying that's a good use of capital, but it's better than having a negative cash flow or alligator property. In this viewer or subscriber or reader, I don't remember where he read it or saw it, said, why would I do that? Why don't I just keep the cash in my bank and then just pay the negative cash flow out of my account instead of putting more down? Well, I guess I get the logic. I do not support it. I do not vet it. I would rather not buy that property. You're betting on appreciation to bail you out. But here's the real deal. I knew lots of people who believed that in 04, 05, and 06. I wrote about in my book about a young man who bought 4 negative cash flow properties. I think it was in New Orleans after Katrina. And he boldly told me, I can afford to have 4 negative cash flow properties because, well, look at me, appreciation will bail me out. Well, that worked for him for a year, two, but guess what? When the market turns and you suddenly see this mythical appreciation evaporate that was frankly never real, certainly never recognized, it becomes a lot easier to let go of a negative cash flow property. That's why. Positive cash flow gives you unlimited holding time. It doesn't matter. If my property cash flow is $200 a month and the value falls by 50%, I don't care. I'll just hold it. It's fine. If the property is negative $200 and it falls 50%, you are very quickly going to rationalize, I'm an idiot or I'm dumb or whatever you're going to say to yourself, and you will sell that property. That's why. I don't want you to be in that situation. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. I don't know. Yep. Yep. Okay. So that's that question. So now let's get into, I had a rapid fire. Somebody actually sent me an email with like 12 questions in them. I'm going to try to get through these quick. So it talks about, with my students and all of this stuff, talking about asset type and zip code. Watch the video from yesterday. I helped her get more focused. I think that's what a lot of people should do. There's a question about what is the sweet spot? Size and location. Well, you need to learn your market. I don't know your market. If you listen to the interview yesterday in Memphis, she looks for 3-bedroom, 1 baths. It's not a bad mix. In that interview, I talked about in the beginning finding 2-bedroom, 1 baths that are 1,100 or 1,200 square feet. Every market is different. I don't propose to know what the sweet spot is to your market. So that's why I want you to do your homework. One thing, I know of an investor in my market that only buys 1-bedroom, 1 bath homes. Who am I to judge? If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what the sweet spot. I don't propose to tell you what the sweet spot is. I hope you find that when you do your homework. Like maybe you're investing in the country, and for you, the sweet spot is 2 wells. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But generally speaking, I think like from Memphis, 3-bedroom, 1 baths. I mean, if you've gunned ahead, that's what I would say, probably my sweet spot. But again, I don't propose to know what yours is. Next, is a yard more important today? Yes. I would say specifically a backyard, more specifically a secured backyard. People want to have dogs, their kids, their play sets, their trampolines, whatever it is. They want a place to put their kids. They want a place for their kids to play. They want outdoor space of their own. Yes, I would say that's more important. I suspect it will actually increase rent probably by $50. It's a little early right now, but I suspect heading into next year that a backyard fenced and secure will add rent. Too early to tell today. Is a house layout important? Example, family room, dining room, den, those kinds of things. I have never rented a house because of a family room or a dining area. Not to say that maybe it's not in other markets. Again, I know one market, like I said earlier. I have turned both family rooms and dining rooms into bedrooms, frankly, depending on the layout. I would tell you there's something called functional obsolescence, which is an issue. I remember back in 2010, we bought a house that some other landlord had crackerjacked together. It was really a bad layout where you would have to walk through a bedroom to get to a bedroom. That's not good, right? Think about walking through a kid's bedroom to get to another kid's bedroom. Stuff like that is certainly not appealing to folks. But yeah, it's not about a family room or a dining room or any of that stuff. So there you go. Is it important to understand how many people live in a zip code when you pick it? Not really. Again, I don't propose to tell you what area, what that. It's about you. What are you comfortable in, right? This is stuff you're going to own for a decade or two. I would tell you it's probably important to understand if the zip code's growing or shrinking. Probably important to know as you do your homework, like the 75-day challenge, is to read about it. Any big employers, anything of that nature. I certainly wouldn't invest in a zip code that had a very small kind of townish feel, maybe sub 10,000. But lots of people do it. It's just not something I have done and have experience with. Here's a different question. And this question came from someone who actually starred or highlighted this data is pre-health crisis. What does a lot of foreclosures in the MLS or realtor.com mean? And again, star pre-health event. Well, it probably means a couple of things. One is the town's probably shrinking. Again, it's hard to say because that was the extent of the question. It could have been built up around a big employer who left. It's generally, think about it, right? Think if this was January, right? Pre-event, and suddenly you found a magic market, 12345 zip code, and half the listings were foreclosures, while the rest of the U.S. was fine. There would be something very unhealthy about that market. Not saying you couldn't make money there. You could, but you would have to do a lot of homework, in my opinion. Now, if there's lots of foreclosures and there's lots of foreclosures in lots of markets, that's very kind of '08 to 2010. And frankly, what that means to me is time to go shopping. Frankly, let's go get some. But yeah, if it's just a single market that has a lot of foreclosures, do your homework because something bad happened to that town or city or area. This was a good question. Have you ever seen a zip code go bad? Yeah, actually. So I'm not going to name the zip code because I don't want people throwing stones at me. But the first zip code I ever invested in was a very bread and butter blue. I don't know. Yeah, blue collar, and we invested a bunch there. Fast forward, so that was 2002 to 2005. Fast forward to 2010, that particular zip code had a disproportionate amount of foreclosures and short sales. And what happened is landlords they would take anybody. So we saw that town go from a solid rental area to an area we wouldn't touch. Because again, look at the numbers on my first property. We bought for 107, sold for 264, but the rent never changed. You couldn't make it cash flow. So landlords, whoever paid, got stupid and moved anybody they could in. And it very quickly became not quite a war zone, but not far away. It was pretty bad. And I was thankful not to be in that market or that zip code in 2010. It has since transitioned back to okay. But yeah, there was a couple of years I wouldn't touch anything in that zip code. So that was a good question. Is there any upside to turning a slumlord into a pride of ownership for the area? Does it keep the area safe? I mean, I would like to tell you yes, but generally speaking, a single beautiful or pride of ownership flip isn't big enough to change an area, let alone a street. However, over time, as more and more investors come in and improve the area, it can. It's never about one house. I've done 50 or 51 now. It's never about one house. Yeah, never about one house. But that said, I have invested in one area where I think I've done 10 to 12 and other investors have. And that let's call it a 4-block area, 4x4, is vastly different today. But it takes time. It's never a single house, never a single house. There was a question, actually a couple of questions about the eviction moratoriums, right? If you don't know what I mean by that, there's a lot of cities and locales that issued eviction moratoriums. Frankly, the courts were shut, so You couldn't do anything anyway. But what do I think about that? And then there's a follow-on question to that. What does it change anything in your tenant criteria? So first and foremost, the eviction moratoriums. I understand the logic, I guess. However, I think you're interfering with contract law and things of that nature, which are in a constitution. I'm not a big fan of that. I think this should be about people helping people and not some kind of government overreach and intervention and impact in private property and things that hold dear to the American economy. I know for a fact I have, let's call it 2 tenants that are playing games. They will be running up balances owed of 5 to 8 grand. And I promise you at least one of them, if not both, will ghost me. And this is happening all over the country. So what do I mean by ghost me? Once the evictions are open, you file a 3-day notice, you go to court, they're not going to show up, they're just going to leave. They're going to pull up a U-Haul truck and leave and go somewhere else. That happens. It happens all the time. I think it's going to happen in waves here. And I think ultimately it hurts me today. It hurts me, the landlord, today. Ultimately, this is going to hurt the tenant long term, because what will happen is the court will issue a judgment and that will show up on their credit report for 7 to 10 years. And it's, they're not going to get a good credit or a landlord reference. It's going to be harder for them. Again, I see both sides. I understand the logic, but government overreach is real. You're interfering with contract law. This should be about people helping people. And ultimately, I think eviction moratoriums are going to hurt small and mom and pop landlords. I see a lot of landlords selling, especially if they're small, think 10 or less units, and they're just going to give up. And I also think it'll hurt tenants. Again, for tenants, it'll feel good today, but hurt later. There's nothing good to say about this. It's just not good. But let's move on. I got a little misty. Tenant criteria. That's a great question. I haven't changed it yet, but I certainly will. And I think what the big question will be is, what do you do this year? First, we're going to be looking at their jobs, right? Are they in high-risk fields, right? Before we had a box about income to rent ratio, but do I change that based on, hey, you're in retail or you're in fast food or something like that, or restaurants? Maybe. I think the big issue is going to become next year when I'm looking at new tenants and they have a landlord judgment. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to guess they're going to all get a big fat no and treat that like an eviction. So I don't know. So the answer is no, I haven't changed it. It's too soon. I could tell you right now, houses, as I've been saying, are flying off the shelf. They're not vacant a day, right? All of my houses that I have are rented before they're fixed. It's amazing. Apartments are a little harder, but houses quickly. Next, what do you think about Section 8 in Class B and Class A neighborhoods? First off, I love Section 8. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm not really sure what's behind this question, but realize that one of the limits of Section 8 is the voucher amount. So what do I mean by that? Let's just take Class A. Let's say that Class A 2-bedroom 1-bath rents for $2,000. I'm just making numbers up, but let's say it's $2,000 a month. Well, what happened in Section 8 is they have a limit for 2-bedroom 1-baths, and let's say their limit is $1,500, 1500. In that case, you could try to rent to Section 8 all day long, but it won't happen. The limit's 15, market rate's 2. You could say you accept Section 8, but you'll never have a Section 8 tenant apply that can pay $2,000 because their voucher limit is $1,500. So some Class A neighborhoods are simply priced out of Section 8. If we go to Class B, again, just for example, and let's say your 2-bedroom 1-bath is $1,500 and the voucher limit again is $1,500, Yeah, go for it. I think all of my Section 8 tenants and my cash tenants go through the same lens. I do not distinguish a Section 8 tenant from a cash tenant. The income's the rent's the rent. Um, so, it's up to the landlord whether or not they want to accept it or not. I could tell you after 20 years of the 5 horror stories I've had, 3 were cash tenants and 2 were Section 8. People are people. Life happens. I mean, life happens. Oh, from the interview yesterday with the investor who was stuck, what were my big takeaways? I thought that was interesting. What did I take away? First and foremost, I didn't want her beating herself up. I thought in the beginning she was being pretty hard on herself, and I didn't want her to beat herself up. If you're looking at bigger pockets in YouTube University, it's very easy to go 1,000 directions an inch at a time, which means no progress. So I wanted her to understand that that's normal. And then the second thing is the fix for that is to get focused. Focused on what you want, where you want, all of that. That's what I talk about with my students. It's what we talk about daily challenges. I really like the fact that she saw the benefit of the 75-day hard challenge. And if you don't know what that is and you feel stuck, go look at the playlist. It's absolutely free. There's nothing in that playlist that costs money. Yeah. And as was just said in one of the comments, be patient, especially today. This next 6 months, as I opened up, I see as risky for new investors. So please do your homework. If you need help with that, I'm here. The link below. Go look at other students. It's really easy to make a mistake today. Next, how are you competing with the owner occupants? Well, I'm not, frankly. They can overpay. Maybe this is just because I've looked at my market and I'm okay saying no. I think today as an investor, including myself, most deals don't make sense. So I don't compete with owner occupants. They can pay more and pay less. What do I mean by that? They can pay more for the property and pay less per month. That's what real estate is. People don't buy because of $200K. They buy because of the mortgage payment. So if you can spend 5 to 10 grand more than me and yet have a lower monthly payment because your interest rate is half of what I could pay, I can't compete with that. So I don't beat myself up. That's the answer for that one. The exit from New York is real. So this person lives 3 hours south from New York. This actually plays to San Francisco as well, LA as well. Let's just call it the exit from big cities is real. The question is, how long can it last? So this question went on to be that they're 3 hours south of a big city. And basically every listing is pending. People are coming in and overpaying, blah, blah, blah. So how long can it last? It could potentially last years, frankly. The big cities, they may be in for a decade of falling, if not downright decay. It is the consumer, the owner occupant is changed. Space is good. I don't know how long it goes, but I can tell you it'll last through 2021. That's 6 more quarters. And it could be longer. I'm just not comfortable saying how much longer. But yeah, I don't think this change is going to be done this year. Real estate moves in waves. I mean, single family homes from 03 to 06, it got more and more competitive and then it fell. Apartments, value add multifamily, increase in 17, 18, 19, fell. I think the rush to the suburbs will be years. And then eventually it'll get so pricey and then the city will get so cheap. It'll change. But that's why you got to learn your market. Watch every day. Next, how do you compete with real estate companies? Let's see who's calling my home line. Yes, I still have a home line. One sec, let me hang up on him. Some wholesaler calling me for something I own, I'm sure. How do you compete with real estate companies? How do I compete with real estate companies? One family holds a ton of properties in my market. So actually, I'll answer this question two different ways because when I read it the first time, I thought it was going a different direction. So first off, what do you do if you're in a market and one rich family owns a lot of stuff? Well, actually, I'm in a market where there's one very uber rich family who owns thousands of units. Many generations ago, their family owned a lot of farmland and orchards that became the city. So they are uber rich, and they own thousands of units. What do? I do what I do anyways. I communicate, I network, I grow. That family clearly has their relationships, but generally speaking, they don't have to work very hard. So I just work harder. I work smarter. Just because one family owns a ton of properties, that don't mean squat. They don't get every deal. I wouldn't even tell you they get half the deals. And frankly, there are probably lots of people in that community that don't want to sell to them. Use it to your advantage. I think lots of people look for excuses. That's not one that I'm going to tolerate. That's silly. But let's take this question in another direction where I thought it was going. What is it? Redfin, Zillow, OfferPad, all these other companies are coming in and buying. They're doing cash offers. Again, I don't really see them as competition. They're clearly trying to flip. And for most of them are losing money, which I think is hilarious. They're losing money. But they're again selling to owner occupants. They are competing on some junk, but they have their standards. And they're getting a lot of their leads from web searches and whatnot, pay-per-clicks and things of that nature. So just bob and weave, right? Know where they are and go somewhere else. Yeah, that's what I would say. That's page 1. Ooh, 32 minutes already. Oh, by the way, 49 people watching and 16 thumbs up. What's going on, guys? That's not fair. All right, page 2. Oh, this was fun. You were so lucky. Your success can't be repeated. Really? I was lucky. I read that a couple of times, and I got to tell you, it made me mad. When I read that, I was lucky? Really? All right. Really, I was lucky. I lived way below our means, like 50% less than we took home. Okay, are you doing that? Is that luck? I looked at my market every day for 20 years. Have you? Was that luck? I looked consistently, even when we had money, even when we couldn't get a loan, even when we didn't have money. Was that luck? And I took action where I thought the odds were in our favor. I wasn't always right. Really? I was lucky. That is nothing pisses me off more than somebody calling me lucky. Now, am I willing to say that the market that I chose was very beneficial? Yes. Investing in a market back when I didn't know the difference, in picking Fresno, California, which had ups and down cycles, that was helpful. No question. It wasn't a flat, boring market. So if that's about the only thing I will accept is luck, because I'm willing to say that was luck because I didn't know any difference. All I knew was Fresno was 2.5 hours away, and I just went all in. But I stayed. Is that luck? No. Lots of people do one house and then they go to another market. So no, I don't think I was lucky. Can my success be repeated? Absolutely. That's why I'm freaking trying to help people all the time. I believe success can be repeated. Live below your means. Learn your market. Take action when odds are in your favor. Get to 4 properties. I spend a lot of time helping students try to repeat the success. So yes, it can be repeated. Will it be repeated on the same scale we had? Who knows? But that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal shouldn't be to be us. Be you. Yeah, that one made me mad. I forgot it was there. I'm glad I got to answer that one today. Do I submit all my offers through buyer's agents? No, I never have all my offers. Basically, my answer is if I know the buyer's agent, like I've worked with them before, I will do that. Otherwise, I want to reward agents that help me. So yeah, if there's an agent that I don't know or from a brokerage I don't know, I will call one of the agents at the hub or some other agent that maybe sent me the lead and let them get paid. If you're an agent that works hard for me, I'm going to make sure you get paid. I do not write up offers. There's a question somewhere else in here. I'll answer now. Yeah, if you're still watching, hit thumbs up. Thank you for that. Do I write up any offers myself because I have my license? No. Again, I got my license because I inadvertently thought there was magic information that I was missing in the MLS that would allow me to be a better investor. I got my license. I spent hours looking, and I'm like, there's nothing here. Everything else is online. If this was back in 2000, I probably would keep my license because the data wasn't available to us. Now the data is nearly everywhere. So I'm not renewing my license. I never write up offers. I hate paperwork, right? So no, I don't write up any of my own offers. And again, I only go to the buyer's agent if I know the agent. Oh, this one was fun. Hey, you talk about your market being a 6.5% yield, but all these other YouTubers are talking about 15%. Why is yours so low? Come on, guys. Well, first off, I'm talking about the only market I know, and I'm telling you what I get and what I look for. I have seen these other investors talk about 15%. First off, many of them aren't investors. They are entertainers that are trying to get clickbait and crap like that. I've also seen the math behind some of them. And first off, they are probably doing self-manage, not me. I pay property managers. I don't believe Excel 15%. Lots of people look at that, buy, and then realize they bought in a war zone. The Excel 15% quickly turns negative with turns and evictions and debt collection and stuff. So again, I don't propose to judge anyone. If you're going to go learn your market and you can find a market that you're comfortable in and it's 15%, I wish you nothing but luck. But anybody could say my market's 15%, and most of them are just doing it to sell junk or courses or other stuff. They're not truly investors. I've been doing this 20 years and I'm still doing it. So I don't compare my market with others. There's lots of double-digit markets out there. I choose not to go there. I know my market. I learn my market. I do what I do in my market. So good for you. Go chase 15%. I wish you nothing but luck. Come back in a year and tell me if it's real. That's my answer. Oh, there's the next question. Do I write my own offers? I did that already. Oh, what happens in a duplex, triplex, or quad where there's common area? Who pays for that? Because basically my tenants don't clean it. Well, that's part of the expense that landlords need to budget for. Like lawn care. I remember buying a fourplex 2-and-2 with a courtyard in the middle. Tenants won't clean that, won't mow it, won't pick up their toys, won't pick up trash. Just won't. So you as the landlord need to do that. You could always put a $20 charge on your tenants, but you have to communicate that, right? It's a cleaning fee or lawn fee or whatever. Or you raise the rent, but you have to pay for it. You, the landlord, are going to pay for yard care, likely water, certainly if there's yards there, probably common electricity, lights in the courtyards, garbage. That's why sometimes duplexes and quads aren't the best investment, because when you buy a house, you shield a lot of those expenses from the landlord to the tenant. So know your numbers. How do you know if you have A good owner finance deal. Again, there are so many ways I can read that question, but for me, it's all about positive cash flow. Can I hold this property forever? Right? And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, it's been said a lot of times, but I'll say it again. I'm willing to overpay, right? If there's a house that's worth 100, I'll in theory pay 200 if I can have the terms and length long enough. Think 100-year loan, 80K balloon, something like that. For me, it's really not about price. It's, can I hold this property for the rest of my life? That's a good owner finance deal. Preferably no balloon. I would like to be fully amortized. But I'm willing to go interest only if I can, if that's what they want, if the term's long enough. Yeah, basically for me, is it can I hold it long term and there's no short term balloon? And to be clear, short term for me is 5 years or less. Again, I've invested for 20 years and 5 years gets here like that. So I want 10 years minimum. I'll take a 10-year balloon, but not 5 years. Well, I mean, I'll take a 5 year, but I certainly don't want a 5 year, if you know what I mean. Hopefully that makes sense. What happened? So I hear getting 4 loans is hard. What do you do after that? In reality, today, 10 loans is relatively easy. But the same question is, what about your 11th? Well, watch the lending market. It changes all the time. Today, folks like me who have more than 10, simply my interest rate is higher, right? Where you're likely getting interest rates on your first 10 sub 5, maybe some of you sub 4. I'm paying in the 6s, like mid 6s. So you just have to know your numbers, right? Go find a credit union that portfolios the loan. Go to a commercial broker. There's lots of ways you can do it. But you just have to pay more interest. A lot of new investors think their 11th loan will be the same rate as their first 10. Sorry, not going to happen. You're going to pay in the 6s, at least in today's market. Here's a fun question. I'm a 16-year-old living in India. Where do I start? I feel lost. I mean, I guess what I would tell you to do is what I tell everyone, is go learn your market. And if you're 16 years old, I would tell you to take the 75-day hard challenge on this channel. You have time, you have no money, I'm guessing. So go spend 75 days learning a market. I don't care if the market's in India or in Australia or anywhere. The 75-day hard challenge is what every new investor and certainly 16-year-old should do. Your goal as a 16-year-old should be to learn a market better than 99% of the other agents and real estate investors. That will allow you to generate value, and value equals dollars. So go do the work. The other thing I would tell you as a 16-year-old, I don't know you, I don't know the question behind this, but lots of 16-years I know are chasing money, chasing the quick fix. If that's what you're expecting from real estate, go look at something else. Real estate is a very, very wealth building enterprise, but it's not generally get rich quick. If you're enamored by virtual wholesaling and all of these other things, stop it. It's not about the how. You need to learn a market better than anybody else. So if you want it, go get it. Let's see if you have the wherewithal to do the 75-day hard challenge. And if you do the 75-day hard challenge, reach out to me, and I'm going to test you because I won't trust you. But if you do the 75-day hard challenge and answer my questions, we can do some question and answering one-on-one. So I wish you nothing but luck. 16-year-old living in India. What happens to lifestyle areas 1 to 3 hours away from big cities? Well, I think they're about to increase in value. I think supply demand is about to get tripped up. I think it's about to flip flop. We had a generation or a decade where people wanted to go to the city. I think that is completely reversed. I think the city is not where people want to be. So 1 to 3 hours away from a big city is about to get more expensive because the commute's not going to be the problem. Before, people were worried about the commute. Now companies are saying work from home. We are about to see structural change in lots of cities and suburban areas. And it's going to take time, as I said earlier. Thoughts on gold or Peter Schiff? The little bit I know about Peter Schiff is he's always been a gold, what people call a gold bug. It's pretty much like, I think I did a thing on, I forget who it was now, but there's a lot of real estate or a lot of talking heads is known for doing one thing. There was somebody that talked about bonds, like bonds have been the right answer for 30 years. Well, a broke clock's right twice. I don't like people who don't change with the environment. And to my knowledge, again, I haven't researched this question in any level of detail. To my knowledge, Peter has always said gold's the answer, which makes me nervous. Because yeah, gold will eventually be the right answer. But has it been the right answer for 30 years? I don't know. The other thing was said parking money. Gold to me is a store of value. It doesn't produce cash flow, no tax advantage. You have to pay to store it if you have a lot. I'm not parking any additional money in I have a coin though. I have this on my desk. A silver coin, or I don't know, it's not a coin really. What is it, 1 kilo? Yeah, 1 kilo, it's heavy. So I have some silver, but nothing of consequence. I bought this. This is from 2012. Shows you how old it is. 8 years. Anyways, that's a paperweight on my desk. I'm not a big believer in it. I do think gold's going to be the right answer. I do think gold gets to $2,000. I do, I think the dollar depreciates. I think gold, silver, commodities all have upside from here. I do. I think I think inflation's real, all of that. I would just rather be in income producing assets that also have an inflation hedge. That's for me. But I don't know Peter Schiff in general. I could be completely wrong. Maybe he's a recent gold aficionado, but I don't think that's true. Where are we at? Okay, I got a few minutes. Somebody called me out for the California bullet train. If you don't know what that is, essentially they were talking about building a bullet train from Fresno or the Central Valley to San Francisco. Really, it's supposed to be from LA to San Francisco. Basically, you were supposed to get from Fresno to the Bay Area in under an hour. I think our governor canceled that, or at least made it in sections last year sometime. So that's interesting. But no, I see it being important. I think something that's going to happen in the next decade is infrastructure. We're going to have more infrastructure. And I think suburban living is going to be important. So I actually think the bullet train becomes more important, not less. Because what will happen is we'll have more people living in secondary cities, but eventually people will want to come back and enjoy the nightlife and the theaters and the restaurants of a big city. So I see infrastructure being important from suburbia, right? If we go from a consolidated big city living to living in the suburbs, there are still reasons to come back to the city, in my opinion. Last question, at least the last one I created for today. Do you see bubble forming in the real estate market? No, I don't see a bubble forming as of today, July. But I see a setup where a bubble could form, if that makes sense. Bubbles in real estate, and I've seen several. They develop over time. I do not see a bubble today, but I do see a set of criteria. A bubble could form maybe by mid next year, so a year from now. So that's what I think. I don't see a bubble today. I know one market, so maybe there are some bubble markets out there that I don't know. You would know better than me, but I don't know any bubbles today. But I do see a setup. I do see a setup where a bubble could form. So, again, thank you for this, guys and gals, followers, subscribers. Do me a favor. 53 people watching, 38 thumbs up. Man, disappointing. I've been talking for 51 minutes. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you're new to this channel, I think there's 6 weeks of these now. So if you really want to go back and look at questions, there's probably 100 questions out there now. So take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day.